AXTMG in a fairly strong compound on the west side of those Yaz fields, but there's a history of mismanagement in that roster, and I'm starting to lose faith that they are able to pull that off. So I wonder who's going to take that from them. That will be the question on my mind. Alter Ego starting to stretch their legs to head a little bit further north right now, and mixed in with Nongshim Red Force and Power, they're trying to move in over that mansion area, over towards the Yaz fields as well. They'll try and find their slice.
Lana hanging out on the outside still. You said trying to find the slice. Where's it at? Where do they stop? Well, I don't think they know just yet. Maybe circling Power is just keeping that pressure on. They'll take a little bit of damage, but for Easy, is Easy isolated? I think he might very well be. The rest of the Power roster seems to be off in the distance. I don't expect anybody to crash in on him. Yeah, so Power is going to be roaming. Easy keeping that compound, maybe trying to keep it in check, maybe keep a presence there so nobody pushes into him. I do notice, though, Falcons is getting dangerously close.
Yeah, they will try, I'm sure. They'll try their luck. Power on the God compound overlooking that mansion area. And over on the east, they're going to be difficult to displace there. May have a team rock up and play neighbor on that north side of the ridge, but we'll have to wait and see. Ida as well now, a late entry towards the circle. They dropped down towards Military Island earlier on in this match. They were split on the west side. They got off of the Military Island earlier than APG did, and Weibo Gaming currently not challenging from Primorsk. They are a little bit behind that rotational speed.
Mormon, good shots on a silence up ahead, but not enough. He has to go down, unfortunately, as he does get shot in the back. But again, just trying to say, look, this is our spot. You need to go somewhere else. The Arena coming into the vicinity as well. For Ida, I think they're going to make this handshake agreement with Weibo, maybe disengage. Actually, Weibo, let me pause that. Western Bridge starting to see some activity, I think. APG decides to move across it, and Weibo might be tempting to gatekeep them depending on how they go. I know they're in the vehicles, but APG being behind them, I'm curious once they do get to Pochinki, what Weibo decides to do with APG.
May just be able to extricate themselves. I mean, they are about 400, 500 meters apart from one another, so not necessarily going to come into contact just yet. Alpha 7, fairly split right now. They sent Revo in to have a look, get his nose, and poke it into some business. Right now, down towards the south side, towards Kinotrope, towards Power. And APG going for the regroup. This is out in the blue zone, so they are starting to tick down, but it is stage 1. So they can chill out a little bit. They should have plenty of meds. Obviously, looting up in the military base. You're going to have basically as much as you want in your backpack. You can see the level 3s across the board for Doc. They will have whatever they so desire.
I'll be keeping my eye out on Nongshim Red Force. They've got this 2-2 split still, and Falcons has been right in between them for the longest time. For a moment, I thought they were right on top of each other. Very, very close. Doc starts to move in with his teammate. There's Weibo finally starting to make their way over towards school. APG still behind. I think that fight is going to unfold. I'm still feeling it. Weibo, APG. Obviously, time will tell how that ends up unfolding. And then Alter Egos and Alpha 7 could be a fun fight to see. And then Thundertalk moving in, who's going to be opposite of Kinotrope. They've got history. Thundertalk, Kinotrope, Alter Egos, all within that same area. That right side of the map is super scary.
There's a lot of open ground. This is a Yaz field circle here. It's just so open out there. The Falcons have managed to make their way up to the compound to the south of AXTMG. They should be fairly safe. Teams are going to have to divert around them. It's going to be very difficult to crash into these areas now as teams have found their footing in the zone. Down towards that southwest side, Weibo have managed to pull up just behind Ida on that southwest edge. They can chill out, but as you say, it is Alpha Gaming who is still yet to push in from that southwest side. The east edge is where I'm now looking. Thundertalk and Alter Ego, both are still yet to come in on this next circle.
That's right. Still hanging out on the edge. A little bit of time to do so. The longer they wait, the more established teams get and hold up in their hardcover POIs. It will develop over time. For now, everything is okay. Obviously, we lost R8 a little bit earlier. Alter Egos did lose one a second ago, but at least for the time being, they're going to be okay. So APG does start to get close, and Suk is going to be kind of isolated out there with his own vehicle as APG starts to close in. Team Falcons start to fire a couple shots off in the distance, and we now start to see what Alpha 7's going to be up to. And yeah, ThunderTalk are moving in. Revo setting the trap, and here come the shots.
ThunderTalk rolling on in. Revo immediately clipped off the eaves of the roof. And it is going to be a 1-for-1 trade. King looks a little bit more resable, though, as Revel's going to have to try and drop down towards Carrillo if he wants this res. But the rest of ThunderTalk not going to sidle in. Okay, Mafioso goes down as well. Ooh, that is nasty. As AJ cooking the nade, he's up onto the second floor. Carrillo turns the corner. There's an off angle that can suppress his corner as well. So it is a dangerous choice. Squash up onto the top floor, but Carrillo falls as well. AJ perfect with the nade, and now just one of Alpha 7 remains. It's Squash. He's pushing on the upstairs, but sees the fire, licking at his ankles, and they've given them the old topsy-turvy turnaround. AJ's back with his team.
Now Squash is a slayer, and he's been known to clutch up, but in this moment, is it too tall of a task? Well, it's up to him to decide. Jumps out, takes a bit of damage. If he can pop this meta, he should be at least a little bit better off than he was before. ThunderTalk can get overly aggressive, and if they do, Squash can capitalize off it. Let's not forget King is still relatively weak. Squash down low. ThunderTalk hasn't pushed up just yet, and honestly, I'm a fan of that. I'm glad they didn't get over aggressive. I think most teams would have. ThunderTalk realized, look, we've got the rest of the Alpha 7 roster down. Why do we want to expose ourselves to 4 individual 1v1v1v1s? Let's walk in together. Let's play our numbers. Let's take down Squash in a good control fashion.
No more first aids for Squash either. Just those stims. He's got 10 bandages. Could potentially heal a little bit, but he's just keeping that shotgun trained on the exits here for ThunderTalk, and they step into the meat grinder. 2 go down. He turns his attention right. He's moving out wide. He still doesn't have the meds, but he gets the reload, and that's 2 of ThunderTalk down now as Squash hops in for more. King just able to find the angle in the last second there. It looked hairy, and it was for ThunderTalk. There could potentially be a third party, but they'll survive as 4 for now.
Yep, great work for ThunderTalk, but almost a heroic effort from Squash, a man who's been known to clutch up. And speaking of clutching, Rosemary has now entered the fight. Alter Ego's Ares is starting to move up, but they're doing it in a controlled fashion, just waiting for the perfect opportunity to fire those shots at the second window of Shing, who's up ahead for ThunderTalk. The rest of his team starting to come through. This isn't going to be an easy fight, but the good news to them, maybe unbeknownst, is, well, ThunderTalk is still recovering in a way. Yes, they've got their health, but now they don't have their wealth. They only have 3 men to work with, and it's all because of Arthur as well as Rosemary up ahead.
That is exactly what they needed to find there for Alter Ego. They didn't want to commit with the blue zone pushing in. This circle was just going to be too much of a threat to them. But now they're trying to roll forwards, and I wonder if they've taken too much time to deal with ThunderTalk here, and Gamax have extended their influence from the south side of Yasnaya Polyana. Losing 2, well, they lost 1 earlier in this match to Nongshim Red Force. So losing another leaves just 2 players alive. Rosemary and Moana, let's see what they can get done. They have, of course, I believe, if that flush comes through against ThunderTalk, that would be their 100th point, but they haven't managed to earn it just yet.
Not just yet, but you know what? They're getting close. We just saw Power take down a member from Intense Game who is very, very low on the standings, coming from the Americas region, actually the first place team from the Americas region, trying to break into top 8. I don't know if it's going to happen. They've got a lot of work ahead of them, and they're going to have to do it with just 3 men. ThunderTalk rolling past Gamex. Now, Gamex is a team that has been known to just kind of pump the brakes, not lay on the trigger, and it looks like they're doing exactly the same here, or maybe setting the trap. You do got a Gamex member who's going to be up ahead, but the question is, will they finally attack? One of the things about them is they like to sit on their hands a little bit too long.
See AJ just waiting there, waiting for the rest of the team to come back in towards him, for King to regroup, then they'll go for the next push. But across the Yas fields, it is so barren, it is so open. There's a couple of options, but they're not going to have to take them. They're going to have to head instead out to the west side. Now we're turning our attention to the teams out there, and on the east end of Rosok, you've got Ida, who have a hold there. Irina now pushing down towards that south edge, could potentially be looking to crash towards the Falcons' position, and in fact, they have managed to take the lower part of the compound away from the Falcons.
This could be one of the biggest fights we have seen yet in Game 3. Securing these compounds dead center of zone could very well be the difference between losing or winning, and I've got to be on the side of winning. I think this location specifically so critical. And for E-Arena and Falcons, they understand that. I don't expect them, though, to crash in just full send. I don't. I think they're going to stay here as long as they can, maybe wait for one to make a mistake. The teams on the outskirts is what's going to truly be interesting. Hora being one of them, moving past Kinnetrop, maybe going straight into APG. They're going to stay in this little divot, however, but they do got a lot of company surrounding them.
Yeah, it's one of the few locations that you can really play here. Unfortunately, they've got neighbors, and the nades just tumble on in from Kinnetrop, and Ora suffering heavily. And you know what? I'm going to bring it back up. You predicted them at the start of this match. You predicted them right at the start of this game. And now look where they are. Well, in a ditch with nades on their head.
They're still alive, okay? They're still alive and they're still putting up a fight, but maybe not for long. Kinnetrop stayed in the grass, stayed in the weeds for the longest time and allowed Hora to push straight by them. And then they spring the attack. It's quite literally the perfect scenario. And you got to think Kinnetrop was waiting on a team to take that divot, take this piece of real estate so they can turn it into a mini red zone and just throw as many nades as possible. And well, sadly for Hora, this might be it, and it will officially be. They're the second team, or excuse me, the third team that has been eliminated. But now we shift our attention to Thundertalk versus Kinnetrop.
Doing a lot of damage to that hovercraft there, and they will actually be able to take it down here for Thundertalk. Getting rid of Kinnetrop's hovercraft may allow them to move forwards. That's what they're going to look for here. They're playing as 3. They lost one on the rotation, but they're up to 6 elims now. And they want to try and chase towards that 63-point boundary, which would look you healthy moving into the next matches.
Side note, Alter Egos have taken a long rotate through blue, maybe going behind that of Gamex. We do hop on board with them as Gamex is going to try and gatekeep. They're going to fire some shots. Alter Egos have had a tough game. And with Moana dropping in blue and Arthur firing some shots, fortunately, he's going to be finished off, and now it's left up to Rosemary, a solo, fighting against the entirety of the world. There's so many players still left. You have to think Rosemary has not much time left in Game 3.
He's going straight towards Nongshim. He's dead. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. How do you not connect that?
Oh, and he gets a crate too.
I would have been dead on if they weren't terrible at spraying that card out. I'm angry at Nongshim Red Force now.
Fair enough. Well, hey,
they're my enemy.
It's okay to be wrong. Okay, it's okay to be wrong. You were what, 3 seconds off?
Wrong Shim Ned Force. Red Force.
Okay. Well, Rosemary's still up. Bunchmaster himself. Zone shift taking place relatively shortly. We know for a fact E-Arena Falcons are going to be just fine where they currently are, dead center of the zone. They're still going to be within the next zone. Absolutely. There they are. They might have to rotate probably maybe next zone, but for now, they're doing just fine. For everybody else, well, you got a couple of teams. Gamax, who has been doing quite well this game. I got to give him credit. Ida, but Power, IG, AXTMG up on the top on the north side. It's going to be quite contested up there, and still you've got Kinnetrop, you've got Thundertalk and APG all within that eastern side of the zone, still waiting for this fight to conclude. Thundertalk can't really make a move. Kinnetrop has to kind of stay low. And Ida, surely not. Are they rotating into Gamex and maybe even behind Nongshim Red Force?
I think that may be the approach. I mean, it's difficult to go past Weibo, potentially looking to push in on across the road. Okay, they may be going to that ditch that Rosemary was trying to play around, I believe. Or was it the other crate? I'm not entirely sure. Either way, yeah, they're just going to try and insert north of Gamax, so they're not wrapping behind them. They are just looking to try and get across the road here. This standoff on the south side of the Yas Fields continues between Thundertalk and Kinnetrop. There's 3 players alive for Thundertalk, all 4 players alive for Kinnetrop. It looks like they might be dry on nades, otherwise I imagine we'd be seeing some lime green art. Mint green? Not sure.
Mint green. I like mint green. I would say that's relatively close. Kinnetrop, keep your head on a swivel, man, because I'm seeing some cars revving up. I'm thinking a push might be happening. They want to get this fight done and dusted and take them out. And the car does full send it in, it seems like, right? Thundertalk, actually, hang on back. I thought I saw a car going straight in, but we don't. So for Thundertalk, still okay. I only see 2. There's the third king off in the background. He wanted a vehicle.
Okay. He's just grabbing that back into control, making sure they have a multi-pronged attack if they want to go for this one, because it is a 3v4 crash. Not too much assistance going to be delivered from off angles here. Maybe a chime in from AXTMG if Kinnetrop don't keep their heads down, or if Thundertalk get a little bit too bold. Grenades opening up. Imagine the players are going to try and follow this one in. They'll know now that they're playing towards the back. Another bouncer, that's a stun over towards the back lines there. And that's why you can't stand up too much. That comes from across the way. That is AXTMG.
Push is finally in. AJ surpasses the hill, gets taken down immediately. Kinotrop knows the push was coming through the smoke. They were ready for it. They capitalize. AJ could still get back up, surprisingly, but Sitting wants to push in. He really does, and he's been hinting at the bogey push. It would be epic if he rolls in and runs over several members of the team that they've been fighting against for the longest time. Of course, that being Thundertalk up ahead. The thing is, and I default to you, John, I mean, neither team can disengage in this moment. Like, they just got to continue to bump heads.
Yeah, it's a really difficult position to be in for both of these two teams. Those ditches are really tough to deal with. A double spray down there from Darkin, though. Has the backup of Emery, but he has to hit the deck and will not be able to assist anymore. Darkin goes down despite his gargantuan effort that he was able to put in. Another nade sent in from Arthur. It doesn't quite connect onto Emre. Sook, by the way, for Weibo, has just been in the middle of this circle like a turret. He's been taking shots over towards Thundertalk, now down over towards Ida, now over towards Gamax. And I'm assuming Nongshim Red Force, I'm pretty sure they'll have eaten the lead there. But he's a solo outpost for Weibo, and he has been for quite a while. The guy's nuts.
The guy's nuts indeed. I mean, to stay that center and beat a turret, as you said, not an easy task, because you know everybody's going to be focused on you from time to time. Finally, some fireworks going off. AJ's up close on final mark, going down from Kinotrop. Kinotrop looks to be losing this engagement. Only one player left alive. Thundertalk with one themselves. Both teams cannibalize each other, and it comes down to a 1v1 between Thundertalk and, of course, the last remaining members of the other roster they were fighting off against just up ahead, being that of Kinotrop. And that's one of the tough spots about being in that position, right? It's really it's a lose-lose situation. The most you walk out with is elimination points, but making it to late game, once that fight finally concludes, usually doesn't end very well.
Crawling on over. Now AXTMG, they flexed out. They're moving on up. Trying to take the fight, but immediately that's Falcons actually taking shots out towards the north. They've been inside their compound for a while. The Falcons maintaining control. We saw, of course, Irina earlier pushing up towards them on that western side of the compound, but the Falcons do have some dominant sight lines out towards the north, out towards the east. A crazy hop over the ridgeline here coming through Kinotrop, but it is not going to pay off, unfortunately. It felt pretty, but it didn't end up that way.
Well, for Thundertalk, they walk away with only one player alive, but give them credit where credit is due, 8 eliminations. They've done fairly well this game in the elimination category, and now for the remaining solo, his job is to stay alive. We focus our attention on Irina, who takes down IG with quick fashion. In this game, only one player up. Padrino, who's going to be on the outskirts, and Falcons still going to be opposite of Irina, who might be in a better position once the zone shifts, depending on how it ends up unfolding. You talked about Zook, who was that of course, turret, center of zone. Weibo starting to move up just a little bit, but it's getting a bit dicey between themselves and the solo of Ida, but also Nongshim Red Force.
Doxy getting collected there and sending on out wide. For Nongshim Red Force, they're going to try and regroup over towards this approach towards Sook, who's finally getting pushed off this hill with Alpha Gaming starting to poke their noses in. Oh, wait, no, take it back. It's just repositioning so he can hold the hill even better as they come on through. Ida do fall in this game as well, which means that now we're down to just 6 teams remaining. An immediate knockback onto Reefus there from Nongshim Red Force.
All right, APG have to get him back onto his feet if they possibly can. A 4-man unit here would be powerful. Everybody is basically a 4-man unit outside of APG unless the res does come through. Sook still dead center of the zone. Nongshim Red Force, great shots onto Weibo up ahead. Now the question is, how much value is Sook going to provide when we see Nongshim Red Force decide to push in to the 3 stragglers on the left-hand side for Weibo?
Sook should have broadside on this approach. It's going to force XZY, who has been lasering some shots on this hillside, to be into a low ground rotate. Beanie going to try and move on in as well, but Order is starting to cook the nades. So is 33Z. And they are now exchanging ordnance from one another. The spray down's good. Again, connects over towards Order. In the meantime, by the way, Valo did just take a knock. I believe that's from Henry. Not likely to get flushed just yet, but this fight seems to be a little bit stagnated that we're on board with Weibo. And Nongshim Red Force just taking a second, taking a beat.
Spread out quite a bit, aren't they? APG taking some shots onto Benny from the distance. And Weibo able to recover. And that's going to be big news for them. I thought the curtain was closing as Noxious Red Force started to push in. E-Arena Falcons still opposite of each other. This fight has yet to unfold completely, but it's about to start. E-Arena has to push up now. Blue Zone is going to encompass where their current location is at. They've got to find a way to break their way through the defensive setup of Falcons in a hardcover POI. In my opinion, I think it's going to be an impossible situation, but we go back to game 2. I thought they were stuck between a rock and a hard place in the hardcover POI they were in, and they broke free. Is this time going to be any different?
It doesn't feel like it. There is a position ahead of them that has control over their sightlines, that has a really solid spot. The only thing that could change it is AXTMG. If they roll up towards the Falcons, there could be a third-party situation here that could go pretty much either way. So we'll have to wait and see if that's going to come into effect. But E-Arena, they get the res, and they're looking to try and push up these hillsides. They've managed to actually get fairly far around on the northern flank of this ridgeline around the Falcons' foothills. Will AXTMG take shots?
I don't think they will. They're so focused on APG now because they realize APG's on the outside looking in. They've got to come through, and Henry is firing shots down. Lay Zyal is taking a vehicle in. So this fight between E-Arena as well as Falcons, it's just going to be those two teams, nobody else. The winner going to be in such a powerful spot as we were setting up earlier, and the fireworks are going off. E-Arena's already lost one. Meanwhile, for the Falcons, well, they're still 4 strong, and they've got to maintain it. But does the tides turn? Well, not so much.